It is the first week of January 2023. Time to look at the Albuquerque real estate market, what happened in December of 2022. And I'm going to go back a little bit here. I've got a 5-year chart that we're looking at, and you can just kind of see where we are. We know 2022 was a really interesting year in real estate nationally. And here in Albuquerque, it kind of followed what we saw around the country. Beginning of the year, very busy. Multiple offers on homes, prices going up substantially into the springtime, and then we had a big bump up in interest rates, which really slowed down the real estate market. And let's look at some of this data. So we're looking at December. Right now, this chart goes back 5 years. Like I said, we're looking at closed sales. These are the number of homes that sold and closed in December. 738. That is a pretty low number compared to what we've seen over the last 5 years. We really haven't seen anything lower. January of 17, it was lower than that. If we go back to December of 2014 was the last time we had that few sales. That's a 35% decrease from December of last year. So just looking at that, you go, okay, well, that's pretty dismal. Home sales are way down, and there's no doubt about it. They really are. But let's dig a little deeper and then look at pricing here. When we look at the number of homes that went under contract, that number was down 14% from December of last year, and actually was a slight little uptick here from November. So a little bit more activity. Interest rates did come down in November and December, and right now, first week of January, they seem to be on a downward trend, but they've been pretty steady for now, and that really affects people's affordability. So that is a big question mark that's still out there. The days on market, that's the time homes spend on the market from when they go on the market till they come off the market under contract, and average went up to 28 days in December. That's the highest we've seen in a few years. However, it's still historically, you can see going back 5 years, that's still pretty low. Median days on market for homes that sold in December was at 12, meaning half the homes that closed in December were on the market for 12 days or less. So still relatively fast pace for half of the homes that come on the market. And of course, it's not all homes, and it's not all price points, and it's not all neighborhoods. It really depends on where you are. Let's look at pricing, sale prices. Median sale price for December was $319, let's say $320,000 in Albuquerque. And just so you know, we're looking at single family detached and single family attached homes in the greater Albuquerque MSA, which is the four county area. You can see this is down from our peak back in May, slightly 1.5–2% is kind of what we're looking at. However, we're up 5.7% from December last year. So we still have that annual year-over-year price appreciation happening in the market, although there has been a pullback from the spring boom. I just want to make a point on this. You can see we always have some seasonal up and down in the real estate market. I mean, if we look at this, if we go back 10 years, you can see we always have some seasonal up and down from, summertime to winter, and that's very common. This year was a little bit more than what we'll call normal. There's no doubt that the high interest rates or the higher interest rates definitely put a brake on the market somewhat, and some of that price appreciation. And to be perfectly frank, we kind of needed a little bit of break on the price appreciation, because double digit, I mean, we had a couple of years there where we were seeing 15, 16, 17% price appreciation year over year. That can't be sustained. And so, now we're getting back into the single digit year over year price appreciations. We look at it from a a price per square foot point standpoint, which I really like. Again, you can see we had the seasonal stuff all the way back to 2012, and then starting in 2020, we just didn't have a lot of that seasonality. Prices just climbed and climbed and climbed. And so this year was the first year that we, in the last few years since the pandemic, that prices have pulled back a little bit. And if we look at the month supply of inventory, which is always a really good indicator of, supply, demand, and where we may be here in a few months, we're still at a very low supply demand ratio, meaning supply is still very low, meaning the number of homes on the market is relatively low compared to the number of buyers that are out there. And so right now at 1.2 months supply, that's up from last year. But however, if you go again, we're going back to 2012 here, you can see not uncommon back here if we look at 15, 14, we were in four month supply, very steady markets throughout here. We're still at a relatively low level. So it's going to be interesting coming into the spring and the spring selling season, which really kicks off late February and March of this year now. What happens with prices right now? We're still really limited in the number of homes on the market, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Of course, interest rates are going to be a huge factor when it comes to that, and the affordability, which it's really the big thing that happened in the second half of 22 was we went from lowest interest rates just about in history to some of the highest interest rates we've seen in many years, like 20 years. So that interest rate thing is going to be interesting to watch and see how that plays out and affects people's purchasing power. So if you have any questions about real estate in Albuquerque, give me a shout. Tego, Venturi, Keller Williams Realty with the Venturi Group. And I'm at 505-448-8888. Thanks for watching.